Members of council and staff, it's Wednesday, May the 14th, 2025. This day in history, the first passenger airplane flight took place, and it was the date of the launch of the U.S. Space Station Skylab. Those that are joining with us this evening virtually, we welcome you. Those in the council chamber, I would ask you to ensure that your communication devices are either shut off or placed on vibrate. Before we begin this evening, I'd like to give a shout out and recognize Miles Vanny. Miles is the executive director of the Inn of the Good Shepherd, who recently was awarded the Sovereign's Medal for Volunteer. It is just the highest honor that a volunteer can receive in our country. And for the work that Miles does for the Inn of the Good Shepherd for so many throughout our community, we congratulate him and thank him for all that he does. This meeting will be streamed live and recorded for public viewing in the town's YouTube page. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, the water, and the air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together, as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. Council, I'd ask you if you have a pecuniary interest to please declare it at the appropriate time. Clerk, I see we have nothing listed in delegations. Nothing has been added since then.
Added, your worship.
Okay. Let's go to item 5.1 on your agenda. I have a motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Councillor Rodriguez, that the report prepared by Adam Sabansky, Chief Administrative Officer, dated May the 2nd, 2025, regarding the town of Plympton-Wyoming strategic initiative progress for the current term of council be received. Mr. Sabansky is here. Is there anything that you'd like to add to that, Mr. Sabansky?
No, sir. I'd be happy to take questions on the report if you like.
Questions? Councillor Willett.
I guess the one great report, by the way, it certainly refreshes my mind on what we talked about, and what we'd like to see done here during our term. But the sewage system in that Teresa's Corners, since we have acquired a plaza and are looking at future, expansion and building out there, it doesn't look like this is going to be complete until the fall of 2025. Can that be done any earlier? I mean, in order to do anything out there, we're gonna have to have a sewage system. So I know it takes time. I appreciate that, but I'm just not so sure that, this has taken a long time.
I do believe that we budgeted for the study in the 2025 budget. Mr. Silva, I think earlier this year, awarded the contract. Sorry. How about I ask Mr. De Silva for an update on the
Yes, through your worship. So we have been talking to Jacobs about formalizing a proposal, which we'll first send to the Environmental Services Committee for endorsement to undertake this study at Reese's Corners. We're only looking to undertake the study in 2025. Any works that arise are obviously going to be costly and will need a lot more consultation with the committee and council. So any planned sewage works within the Reese's Corners, I would say are a 5-year kind of outlook. But we'll do the study first to determine exactly what can and needs to be done out there to provide servicing.
So is it Jacobs that's doing the study for us, or?
Yes, we've been talking to Jacobs about getting a proposal. It just hasn't been provided or endorsed by the Environmental Services Committee as of yet.
I did just make a statement that in order to expand or do anything out there, we'd need sewers, but that may or not be the case. We may be able to have a septic system or something else in a temporary basis out there. So
absolutely. And any plans that may involve potential partial redevelopment of the commercial plaza will be done in such a manner to allow us to connect to a future sanitary sewer system. And if those plans occur before the sewer system is installed, we'll be sure to do it in a manner that is not going to adversely affect the work that's already done.
that's all I have, Mr.
Thank you. Dr. Bojan?
Thank you. Just a question. I'm not going to get into it too much, but with the CIP, if we're just adding
and there's only one commercial area in Kamlaki. Is there a way to not do consultant fees and longer process if we're just adding a boundary in Kamlaki? I mean, the commercial area is just that one little area. Is there a way to just expedite that, just add a boundary map, or do we have to go through a process?
I'd have to look into that further, but that's definitely something we can do. I know the CIP is a number of years old now, so it might warrant a bit of an update. But if there's a desire to push it to just utilize the existing CIP if we can and expand the boundaries of it, I will bring that back late this year before budget time to decide whether we want to just update internally or have a consultant do a full update.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Carried. Okay, council, let's go to 6.1. I have a motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Councillor Wolbeck. That the minutes be adopted by council, that those confidential minutes of the closed sessions of council remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. It would be our planning council meeting minutes of April the 29th, 2025, the planning council's closed meeting minutes of April 29th, 2025, our planning public meeting minutes of April 29th, 2025, our zoning bylaw amendment 2 of 2025, 5706 Lakeshore Road, planning public meeting minutes of April 29th, 2025, with a zoning bylaw amendment 19, 2025, Trails Edge subdivision rezoning, King Fleming, planning public meeting minutes of April the 29th, 2025, short-term rental licensing and planning public meeting, zoning bylaw amendment 35 of 2025, and official plan amendment 57, regular council meeting minutes of April the 30th, 2025, as well as the regular council meeting minutes of April the 30th, 2025. Council, you've had an opportunity to review them. Any questions? All those in favor? Carried. Oh, sorry. I have two more. Sorry. We'll pass those ones, council. And I'm sorry, I have to go to two more. Drain consideration meeting minutes of the Kernahan O'Donnell Drain, section 76, and drain consideration meetings of McDonald Giltley and McDonald Drains. All those in favor? Let's go to item 6.2, moved by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen. Minutes be adopted by council, those confidential minutes of the closed sessions, being confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. That would be the Fire Executive Committee meeting minutes of March the 3rd, 2025, Environmental Service Committee meeting minutes of April the 3rd, 2025, the Special Events Committee meeting minutes of April the 7th, 2025. Councillor Wolvet here from Fire and Councillor Bojan, Environmental and Special Events. Any questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, let's go to 6.3, Deputy Councilors Reports.
Yes, let's keep in mind there's a game on tonight. So, Bougen, anything?
Quick one, next Saturday, picking in the park.
It's easy.
Nothing. Thank you.
Rodriguez?
I had two meetings, one was Trails and one was Fire, so Councillor Wolbeck can speak to that. At Trails, we had discussed the International Grand Condo. There's been some improvements along the St. Clair Trails. Petrolia Trails are also doing some upgrades to Woodland Trails, and Point Edward is expected to complete the multi-use trail on St. Clair Street by the fall, and is also adding 4 PXO crosswalks on Michigan.
Thank you. Mr. Bougen, he's over there. Mr. Wolbert.
Well, since I don't watch hockey, let me go back in very quickly. Environmental Committee, we had, Alex just reported there, but there was a couple things on there that sump pump and infiltrations into our sanitary sewer systems has become a fairly big deal. So you'll be reading some of it here tonight. There's a program coming up to start inspecting sump pumps and that going into the sanitary sewer system. A bunch of copper lines being replaced out there and was Hearing Crest or Hearing subdivision, about 60 houses. Going to have new copper lines run into them. Fire committee, the only thing I'll mention there is fatalities, certainly in the province of Ontario has just got out of hand. I think there's 52 fatalities, which is way up. So make sure your smoke alarms and stuff are working and have a fire plan to get out of your house if you need to. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Van Cleven.
Nothing to report, Deputy. Thank you.
Mr. Van-
Thank you, Deputy. Not very much to report. Attended both the environmental and the fire executive. I also had the opportunity to represent our municipality at the Sarnia Police Chiefs Awards of Excellence. As you're aware, the Sarnia Police do our dispatch for our fires. And I had a chance to attend their awards banquet. They recognize a considerable amount of officers for the fine job that they did, plus some service awards as well. So, what about you, Deputy?
Well, I went to the Ontario Association of Committees of Adjustment Conference this past few days. And I did some learning and I had a great time too. So it worked out well. Thank you. That's it.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's go to 7.1, Council. I have motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen. That council remuneration claims for April 2025 be approved for payment. All those in favor? Carried. Go to some riveting staff reports. I have go to 8.1.
Step up for this one, okay?
8.1, moved by Councillor Wilbett. And I'm going to need a seconder for this one because Councillor Van Claveren just declared a conflict. Councillor Rodriguez. Moved by Councillor Wilbett, seconded by Councillor Rodriguez, that the report by Jessica Wilson, Executive Assistant, Public Works, dated April the 29th, 2025, regarding the Public Facilities Agreement for Lakeshore Community Church be approved. The license fee of $80 and the gazebo rental fee of $240 be waived. That bylaw 47 of 2025 be taken as having been read 3 times, finally passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Any questions? Councilor Rodriguez.
So considering there was much talk during budget time about grants and things like that, I'm just not sure why this request didn't come under a grant, maybe at budget time. I think that's more the appropriate place for it. This church is also located in Brights Grove. So I'm just wondering why they didn't utilize Kenwick Park. Maybe it was because of fees. I'm not sure. I just feel like private organization versus maybe a municipally affiliated organization. So I have concerns with that too, opening the door to more of this type, expecting the same from the municipality.
Good question. Mr. De Silva, could you answer that, respond to that, please?
Sure, through your worship. I know that this particular group has a lot of kids that attend from the Plympton-Wyoming area. So I don't know, I don't have exact numbers on that in terms of when the request should be made. That's a good point. Maybe it should come at the beginning of the year. That we did do this last year and did go to the Parks and Rec Committee and they endorsed it. So we decided to bring this forward for council. It's basically an exact repeat of the one they did last year.
I mean, I still have my concerns. They really haven't swayed me a lot.
Well, I'm not trying to sway anybody. They made this request and we're bringing it to council for approval.
Yeah, I just have those concerns that I guess there was nothing there to help me get past it. Besides the fact that there are children, but sure, there's a lot of people go to different churches outside.
Councilor Vacy?
Yeah, thank you, your worship. When it came to Parks and Rec last year, we discussed it at quite length. The fact that they're offering free to the kids, they're covering all the costs, they're covering food, they're like doing all that kind of stuff that if they can use one of our parks for a week and do soccer and whatnot with the kids for something to do, if they're offering it free, we'd offer it free. So that's all that was. So if they were making a profit off it, then definitely we'd be wanting to go.
Councilor Bojan?
And just to build off that too, if we wanted to look at incorporating this into whatever the new grant program looks like. We have their contact information, so we can always incorporate an in-kind grant program stream as well, because this is more of an in-kind donation rather than a financial donation. So perhaps depending on what that program looks like, it could be added in there too. And I believe council discussed having something in that application to show Plympton-Wyoming impact. So just help demonstrate that. So maybe it's just something to consider in that program we're looking at.
I have a couple of questions, Mr. De Silva or Councilor Vacy. I'm a little confused by the time. I read in there that they wanted it from 8 to 2. Then Mr. McKee in his letter indicated 8 to 1. Just not sure exactly what that is. Difference is, or it's just a clerical error. And secondly, the cleanup. Are people doing the cleanup after they leave every day? Is that going to cost us dollars? Are they doing cleanup? What's the scoop on that, if you don't mind?
Yeah,
Mr. Silva?
yeah, thank you, your worship. It's from 8 to 1. I think they had 12:30 on their application or something like that. And that just provides them a little bit of time to clean up. And that's right, they're cleaning up after their own refuse.
It's just the exact same program we did last year. We didn't charge you.
Yes, exactly the same. Yeah.
Okay, Councilor Rodriguez?
I just have one more question. For the children, is it children of that belong to the church, or is it the entire municipality of Plympton-Wyoming that could attend?
Mr. Silva?
Yeah, through your worship. I don't know exactly how the intake goes, but when we had this conversation with them last year, it included more children than just the ones that went to the church.
Any further questions? Okay, yes, Councilor Vacy. Oh, okay. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
This alone.
Carried.
Discussed.
Let's go to item 8.2, moved by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor Vacy. That the report by Elizabeth Cummings, Drainage and Engineering Coordinator, dated May the 2nd, 2025, regarding the petition for drainage works by the authority for Arrowwood subdivision, phase 1 and 2 be received, and that council accepts the petition as filed on April 2nd, 2025, under Section 4 of the Drainage Act, or SO 1990, and that council appoints M. Garrett's Consulting Incorporated to make an examination of the area requiring drainage and prepare a report on the matter. Ms. Cummings is here if we have any questions. Are there any questions? Councilor Bojan?
Just out of curiosity, is it just an administrative oversight that in phase 2, it's the developer's responsibility, in phase 1 it wasn't? Or is there something specific about phase 1?
Okay,
Since I was here for phase 1 and Mr. De Silva wasn't, I can speak to that. So phase 1 subdivision agreement was based off an old template that had not been updated yet. When we updated the template before phase 2, one of the provisions that Elizabeth and I worked on was to require the developers to incorporate the drainage system under the act and have that paid for through the developer, so that the town didn't have to pay expenses into the future.
That clarification?
Councilor Rodriguez?
Thank you. Yes, just to bump off of that, that was going to be my question as well, but I also wanted to know what do those costs look like? It's not noted in the report for this, that were missed in, or not done in phase 1, but are being done.
Mr. Silva,
Through your worship, and Elizabeth can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's all basically an administrative task at this point. Because all the construction is done, so we think around $8,000 to $10,000 kind of right there per report.
Thank you.
anything further? Call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Council will go to 8.3. Moved by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Councillor Wolvette, that the report by Elizabeth Cummings, Drainage and Engineering Coordinator, dated May the 5th, 2025, regarding summary of requests for drain maintenance between January the 1st, 2025 and April the 30th, 2025 be received for information and filed accordingly. Questions? Councillor Rodriguez?
Thank you. I just wanted to know did we budget for MCEA in this year's budget? Which is that assessment?
So I think we're on a different report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Aren't we on 8.3?
8.3.
Did I write my number down wrong?
I don't know.
I did. My apologies.
It's the treatment.
Yes,
treatment.
it's 8.4. It's a typo.
All right, stand by for 8.4. 8.3. Any questions? All those in favor? Carried. At 8.4, moved by Councillor Bojan, seconded by Councillor Vacy, that the report by Elizabeth Cummings, Drainage and Engineering Coordinator, dated May the 2nd, 2025, regarding the petition for drainage works by owners for concession 1, parts lots 16 and 17 be received, and that council accepts the petition as filed on April the 17th, 2025, under Section 4 of the Drainage Act, RSO 1990. And that council appoints M. Garrett's Consulting Incorporated to make an examination of the area requiring drainage and prepare a report on the matter. Questions? All those in favor? Council, let's go to 8.5. Moved by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren. The report submitted by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, April 29th, 2025, regarding the 2024 structure inspections, bridge and culverts be received as information, and that staff be directed to procure the services of a qualified consultant to undertake a municipal class environmental assessment on Bridge 80, Elmsley Road, and Bridge 60, O'Brien Road. Any questions? Councillor Rodriguez, then Councillor Wolfett.
Thank you. Did we budget for the assessment, environmental assessment?
Mr. De Silva?
Through your worship, not specifically, however, we did put $100,000 in the capital budget for miscellaneous bridge rehabilitation, so I would think that would be a good fund to do those assessments. And I was talking to a consultant earlier, and it's looking to be about $20,000 a structure, so about $40,000 total to undertake the environmental assessments.
Okay, so we approved 100,000 for any miscellaneous capital projects. Okay, so you're just recommending assessments at this time and not the actual work, because all that has to be decided.
Yeah, through your worship, if I could just start with maybe a little bit of a preamble. So overall, our bridge network is in pretty good condition, actually. Those 3 big replacements that we undertook in the last 3 to 5 years really bumped up our overall average for our bridges, but we do have 2 that are in poor condition. So those are the 2 bridges that we're looking to perform that assessment on. And I've done this in the past, and although it's not a requirement necessarily for these 2 bridges, it really is going to give us a real fulsome look at what can we do and what should we do with these? Should we abandon them? Should we look at rehabilitating them? Should we look at replacing them? So it just undertakes the consultation with the public, undertakes it with the review agencies as well as the Indigenous communities. So when we're done, we're going to know exactly what we want to do with these 2 structures.
Yeah, and I understood that from the report. If I guess I was looking more at the timeline of doing all this? And where would that fall? That would fall probably into, it would take some time, obviously. Okay,
Let's say probably. It would be less than a year to go through the full process for it's a Schedule B environmental assessment, so it's not the full Schedule C, so less than a year.
thank you.
Councilor Wolvet.
I guess my question is going to be, this goes way back, probably 2 or 3 councils ago. We asked for these studies on these bridges. It came back that there was a couple or 3 bridges and roads that we should just get rid of. So that we don't have to do what we're going to do here. In fact, we didn't hardly use these roads. And I'm not exactly sure which roads those are, but maybe before we spend a bunch of money on them, we should decide. We don't want those roads, and we don't want those bridges to sell them off, get rid of them. Why spend 20, 40, $60,000 on something that's you're gonna get rid of? And those reports should have been there in the past, because I remember the past mayor, Lonnie, I remember saying like, let's get rid of them. And we keep waiting for these reports to come back on these roads that could be surplus and bridges. They have come back, but then we've kind of never done anything with it. So maybe that could be considered before you spend a bunch of money on a couple of roads that really we don't want them.
Mr. Silva.
Through your worship. For these 2 roads in particular, that would be a great conversation to have once we determine if we want to keep the structures or not. And through this process, we'll determine that. O'Brien is not a road that we can surplus because there's a house all the way almost to the 402. So we know we're not gonna be able to surplus that road. Elmsley has a few houses on it as well, but if we decide to abandon the structure, then we could look at, could we surplus a portion of the road? So we have to have that answer first before we can move on. To answer your question about all of these roads that are, unimproved and might be able to be surplus, that is the report that we're still currently working on and do plan to provide council.
Okay, thank you.
All right, all those in favor? Carried. Go to 8.6. We have a motion by Councillor Basie, seconded by Councillor Bojan, that the report by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated May 2nd, 2025, regarding the Huron Crest Phase 1 water service replacements be received and the tender submitted by St. Clair Mechanical in the amount of $214,708.51 net HST be accepted, and that bylaw 48 of 2025 be taken as having been read 3 times, finally passed, and mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw. Any questions? Councillor Rodriguez.
Thank you. Is phase 2 going to be affected by this in the future as well?
Mr. Silva.
Through your worship, we have not noticed the same issues on phase 2 or on the phase 1 service, copper services.
Okay, nothing further. All those in favor? Carried. Eight point seven. Moved by Councillor Bojan, seconded by Councillor Vacy, that the report by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated May 2nd, 2025, regarding the inflow and infiltration reduction program be received, and that the program be approved for implementation by council. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, 8.8. Moved by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Wolbeck, that the report prepared by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated May 2nd, 2025, regarding the 2025 asphalt resurfacing tender results be received, and that the tender submitted by DeCoco Contractors Incorporated in the amount of $271,673.55 plus HST accepted, and that bylaw 49 of 2025 be taken as having been read 3 times and finally passed. The mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Any questions? Councillor Rodriguez.
I'm not even sure if I should declare. So I'll just declare.
Okay.
Oh. Go.
Any questions? Councilor Willett?
There's a lot of roads out there, including our own on Hillcrest Road that are way overdue for tar and chip or fixing them up a little bit better. Now, this is hard surfacing here we're talking about. Is that correct? This is asphalt, not tar and chip. How much tar and chipping is going to be done this year? Are we doing a bunch of tar and chipping on some of these roads?
Through your worship,
Yes.
we put $190,000 in the budget to perform current chips
So me.
rehabilitation this year.
We have a list of roads that are going to be done, like there's a road need study, identify those.
It does. We just recently did a road tour. There's a lot of roads that need more than just a layer of surface treatment.
Yeah.
They either need to be reconstructed or we need to do some significant repairs, base repairs, before we can undertake that. So we're kind of going through that process right now.
It's like some of these tar and chip roads, you don't recap them. Once they start to break up, you're into a lot bigger job, right? So, looking at the road I'm talking about, my own road. That road was damaged quite badly when they did all that work down at the bridge down there. That erosion project, that $1 million erosion project down there. And all those big stone trucks that going down there, turning on George Street. And it was said at the time that no, they were gonna fix it, they'll redo it, but they never have, so. It is breaking up, so. You don't wanna get into major other roads like that, so. But 190,000 won't go too far, I don't think.
No, it doesn't go too far and it brings up the whole topic of, looking at a road on its full life cycle. So once we do reconstruct a road, we want to do little things kind of, in that timing window where we can continue to extend roads. So I agree with you. Before it gets bad, we need to be doing something, and that's something that we're definitely looking at.
Even in town here, for the parks down here, like this winter, things broke up pretty bad on some of these tar and chip roads in town, so. Anyways, I guess whatever's gonna get done will get done, and we budgeted pretty heavily for it, so. Extra money in, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Tracy?
Yes, thank you, your worship, through you. Well, are they gonna reuse the asphalt that they take off? And if so, are we gonna retain that asphalt and use it ourselves?
Mr. Silva?
Question through your worship. We will be keeping 100% of that recycled asphalt for our own use, yes.
Thank you.
Anything further? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, let's go to item 8.9. I have a motion by Councilor Wolvett, seconded by Councilor Van Cleveren, that the report prepared by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, Mel Little, Operations Coordinator, dated May the 8th, 2025, regarding the purchase of a half-ton pickup truck be received. The quotation from Ron Clark Motors in the amount of $52,024 plus HST be accepted. Any questions? Councilor Wolvett?
Did any of these bids reflect, we used to get a municipal reduction. And I think COVID kind of blew that out the window at the time. Is that back in effect at all?
You want that, Mr. Sabansky or Mr. De Silva?
Don't fight about it, don't discipline.
Through your worship, I believe this does reflect that preferred pricing that municipalities receive, yes.
Good, thank you.
I'd buy that.
Further questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, 8.10. I have a motion by Councilor Vacy, seconded by Councilor Rodriguez, that the report by Norma Rodriguez dated May the 5th, 2025, regarding the 2025 employee benefits renewal on June the 1st, 2025 be received, and that staff proceed with the approval renewal. Any questions? All those in favor? Carried. Eight 11. I have a motion by Counselor Basie, seconded by Counselor Bojan. That the report by Adam Sabansky, Chief Administrative Officer, and Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated May the 2nd, 2025, regarding the rehabilitation of Wyoming Pool update and formation of fundraising committee for the future replacement be received and endorsed by council. Any questions? Counselor Rodriguez.
Thank you. So I fully support any efforts here, that promote or help pay for improved recreation. I'm not entirely sure why a committee is needed, for the fundraising efforts. I do see in the report that the Wyoming Foundation, as per their procedures, need to form their own fundraising committee under their terms of reference. So I'm just not sure I understand that part. Although we're not voting on it here, I don't believe, again, since the budget's been completed, any reserve funds should go forward to the next budget process for withdrawing from reserves, in my opinion. So that was my thoughts.
Mr. Sabansky.
In regards to the committee, yes, forming a committee is part of not just for the foundation, but the recipients of ongoing funding. They form a committee with that funding recipient to develop a fundraising plan to allow for long-term funding between the foundation and that recipient. So it does require us to be part of that. The Lions have also committed to participate and donate towards the project, and that's why they've been invited as well, as they also receive foundation funds for similar projects as well.
Anything further? All those in favor? Carried. Go to 9.1. Bylaws. A motion by Councilor Wolbett, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that bylaw 18 of 2025 be repealed, and that bylaw 50 of 2025, being a bylaw to establish fees, use or charges, be taken as having been read 3 times, finally adopted, and that the mayor and the clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Any questions? All those in favor? Carried. Nine point two, council. Moved by Councilor Vacy, seconded by Councilor Bojan, that bylaw 51 of 2025, being a bylaw to appoint officers, board and committee members and employees of the corporation of the town of Plympton-Wyoming, be taken as having been read 3 times and finally passed, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Questions? All those in favor? Carried. 1.1 correspondence, action required, moved by Councilor Bojan, seconded by Councilor Rodriguez. That the correspondence suggests the following motion: that council waives the rental fees for Arbor Central School to rent the Kamaki Community Center for their grade 8 graduation on Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. Any questions? We've done this in the past, have we not? And who's supplying their meal? Don't know that, do we? Councilor Van Claveren, did you have a question?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we have done that in the past. I think in the past, we wondered about leaving the fees to a community center that supplement heavily already. And I think I'll keep offering the suggestion of a free will offering at each one of these events too. And so we can either charge the organization standard rate, or waive it. And then if participants would like to put some money toward the cause, they provide a hat or something to collect it in.
Okay.
Because just that. It's when we're making decisions to waive fees or to donate. It's not just what's near and dear to our heart. We're making decisions based on our taxpayers. And everybody's got their favorite causes, that's for sure. So I find it, even though it's not, we're not talking a big number, do think there specifically if you know, the parents, the grandparents, the uncles, the aunts, everybody that's attending something like that. I think they would love to kick in a little bit into the pot to help cover the nuts and bolts of an organization so they can keep the lights on and the floors cleaned and the water running. Just my thoughts. Yeah.
Busy?
Yes, I would agree with Councillor Van Claveren, is it?
I know by that today. Yeah.
We did discuss as a budget time that even though doesn't cost us anything, it does cost us 30,000 a year to run that building, so. I think it's a nice gesture, actually, even if we get a couple $100, at least they're working with us and not expecting handouts. Because we're gonna get the same thing from the other school, I'm sure, that's out there. You know, so there's $1,000 right there that we lose. Yes, it's a good cause. Same with the church and the park. You know, we have expenses in the park, but you know, so I would agree with it if we could, like I say, pass the hat and collect a little bit. At least they're helping a bit. Pays for the cleaning and all that kind of stuff and the hydro. I'd be good with that. Thank you.
Councilor Wolvet?
Here's what I'm gonna say. I don't agree with my two fellow councilors, even though I respect their thoughts, but you know, a lot of this kind of stuff is done throughout most of Canada, most of Ontario. Knowing farm safety with farm safety kids days and stuff like that. We moved that around the county. This year it's in Brigden, and they waived the fees, you know, to use their buildings. We might change it to Elvingston or Warwick or Watford. Plympton-Wyoming, and normally, you know, waive the fees because it involves kids. And, you know, this is a graduating class. And this here is probably mostly from our own area, although Aberarder School draws from all over. So for the little bit of money it is, you know, I think if we start doing it, then everybody's gonna start doing it. And, you know, I think we need to support our kids, whether it's graduation or whether it's safety days or any kind of children's things. That's the least we can do is support kids. Now, with somebody playing hockey and they're working and they're making good money, and by all means, they can pay for the rental and, you know, a little bit of hydro, but I would just ask the council to consider that this is mostly for kids. Consider that, and I don't think it's a big expense for us, and I like I said, respect what the others are saying. They're you got to turn the lights on, but for kids and schools, what better thing to donate to?
Yeah. Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Bojan and then Councilor Rodriguez.
Yeah, my suggestion would be if we want to look at this, it should be the same. Should be the same as fee waivers for every other property we own. I don't think we can pick and choose which properties we own, which ones we waive, which one we don't. So in my opinion, I'm perfectly okay with approving this one as well. And then if we want to look at some other structure, then again, I keep going back to it. We're going to have a more formal grant program. If there's an in-kind donation stream, it can be a percentage. It could say not-for-profits or whatever are eligible up to 70% of fee waivers. Just something that's more black and white than picking and choosing all the time. I just think it's more of a fair way to do it. Because if we do it for our facilities, I don't see why we wouldn't do it for our parks or gazebos or anything else. That's where I'm at.
All right, thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you. Yes, I agree, and that was gonna be my comment as well. This should be coming forward as well at budget time through the grant or in-kind request. all of them should be, and not all these individual ones throughout the year. This is a municipal school with, it's from our municipality attending it. We are municipally affiliated, so in that sense, I completely agree with reading the fees here.
Anybody further? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor as the motion. Carried. Move to the next one, 10.2. Moved by Councillor Wolvette, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren, the correspondence of the following motion. The council allows an exemption to Lambton EMS for the definition special event under bylaw 6/2024 to allow a mobile food truck to operate on public property, Kamlaki Community Center, Arnold Manili Park, for a private event occurring May 21st, 2025, and the council waives the rental fee for the Kamlaki Community Center. So
You just say ditto.
it's almost like a deja vu. Councillor Vaizey.
Yes, we discussed this last year as well when they wanted this. And again, this is a county-run organization. Yes, we all support it and we all need it and everything else. But I think the county could help pay for this as well, instead of us eating $500 every year, because we have a facility that in a perfect location in the hub of Lambton County, I may add, that is perfect for them. But again, the money come from the other municipalities to help show their gratitude towards our EMS system. Then so be it. Everybody throw in $100 or $50 and it'd be paid for. That's where I stand on it. The waiver of the food truck, if it's free to them and the food truck's doing it for free, I have no problem waiving that. If the food truck's making money, then we bill them. That's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Clerk.
I just, through your worship, just wanted to mention last year when we discussed this, we did talk about the partnership with the County of Lambton and the use of their facilities that they allow us to use for different events, which we don't pay for. So just wanted to put that back out there. And there is no cost about the food truck. It's just that it's on our property. They've privately organized it, but they will provide us, it's more about the licensing for them to provide us public health, propane, all those inspections. So that will be done. So it's a special event.
Thank you. Councillor Rodriguez.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that, yes, this is EMS, it is a municipal service. And we do work back and forth on those types of things, so I have zero problem.
Any questions to my left? Councillor Van
Let me
Claveren.
make a small comment. I could see that it gets complicated when we're talking about. Is the fry truck gonna make some money? Are we gonna charge there? And then the county's involved, and so if everybody with great respect just pays their fee, and then the box is mounted to the side of the French fry truck and said, hey, we've got to cover the costs. I know this seems really foreign, but it's so straightforward. There's a lot of organizations that use this concept, and people are definitely going to pour money into that box, and then they're covered for the fees that come to our municipality, and then everybody falls under the same rules. Easy peasy.
You are optimistic. Nothing further? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Just a minute, folks. Let's see those hands again, please. That motion passes. Thank you. All right, 11.1. I have a motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren. Correspondence items A to J. relating to recommended reading and routine approval and information items be noted as received by Plympton-Wyoming Council and filed accordingly. That's A to J. On my left, anything to be pulled or attention drawn to? Am I right? None, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, item 12, new business. Counselor Bojan.
Nothing for me tonight, other than go, Leafs go. Thank you.
I just started, didn't we? Counselor Vasey.
Nothing, Montreal's out, so I have nothing to talk about.
We have two vacancies on council. Counselor Rodriguez, anything for me? Business?
When I'm all for the Leafs, I do have some new business. Two topics. First topic is there have been an abundance of dead fish washing up along the shorelines. MPW and other communities to the north, and as well on the US side. It has been confirmed on the US side that a viral outbreak of VHS is occurring. However, it hasn't been confirmed here as of yet. I've been chatting back and forth with Jennifer Powell, who's a PhD candidate working in the area. She has been vocal on social media about the concerns of the large fish die-off. In our most recent conversations, she asked for counsel to support staff to connect with the MNR to report the fish die-offs and ask for their attendance at our public beaches where these die-offs have been found so that further testing can be done. She's, as of now, the MNR has only collected samples Goderich and Kincardine and recently Lambton Shores. So they have some of those samples from that area, but having samples from our area is also wanted to help find out what's going on. She also stated, and I confirmed through the actual email from the MNR that Jennifer shared, that states that the cleanup of the dead fish is the responsibility of the municipality on public beaches and landowners on private beaches. However, I can appreciate this may be a daunting task for our staff and maybe reaching out to the public or volunteer groups to be of assistance might be more beneficial in keeping on top of the problem. I don't know what can be done, but the fish can't remain where they are, especially if they have the suspected viral, because it is highly contagious. So there are proper disposal practices, so as not to further aggravate the spread. So receiving guidance from the MNR on proper disposal would also be advisable. And getting samples to them as well. Also of note, it's possible to submit samples to the Canadian Wildlife Health Cooperative that works with the MNR, because they will also do independent sample taking aside from the MNR. So I just want to say this is a serious issue, whatever the cause may be, and could have negative consequences to endangered aquatic species. But it could also have negative consequences to the beaches if hundreds of fish are left there, and this could increase E. coli, which will have a negative effect on the public's ability to use the beaches and or increase the risk of sickness to our people attending the beaches.
Mr. De Silva, have you had any contact with the ministry or anything like that regarding that?
No, your worship, I haven't contacted the ministry yet, but I have noted here that I will contact them regarding have them come out and do some sampling as well as getting whatever procedures are in place for their removal. I was down at Highland Glen a couple of days ago and I did see a few, and we have some crews down there working there right now and they've seen a couple as well. Not hundreds by any means, but they've definitely seen them.
Yes, I did provide a video. I believe I provided it to Adam Adam? Yes, I did send it to you, okay. Yeah, so this is more than normal, what you find, I mean, every once in a while I find dead fish. But to find 20, 30 in groups, along the beach, like there's quite a few happening, and it's not the normal time of year to continually have this. I had another person reach out to me this morning, he said there was even more than there were a couple of days ago, washing up still. So I'm concerned about people handling them or spreading this and
Kids and dogs and stuff.
exactly, right? So,
Mr. De Silva, if you're okay with doing what you said you'd do, could you let council know just a update? We're all aware of that.
mhm.
Councilor Lovett?
Well, in light of the report that I just heard raises a lot of concern, a lot of questions when you're talking about a virus and you talked about the effects possibly on animals and stuff. But what about the effect on humans or people that are going to do the cleanup? What kind of virus is this? You know, does it affect humans? What kind of personal protective equipment do they have to wear? And I guess the other thing that if this is so bad and they're saying it could be a bad virus for some of the things we just reported, why isn't this out on the public airways and stuff, you know, saying, you know, stay off the beach and this and that? Like it's, if it's a safety concern, which it probably is, somebody should be doing something about it, and that's either Conservation Authority or Minister of Natural Resources, not the municipality. We should be notified the same as anybody else saying, hey, you know, here's what you need to do to clean this stuff up. So I think it raises a red flag is what I'm saying. Better find out what the heck is going on.
Maybe we can, I think Mr. De Silva is gonna look
Yeah.
at that for us.
Yeah, through your worship, I think, yeah, first and foremost, we're obviously concerned for the safety of our workers. So
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
reach out and find out what the proper disposal methodologies are, including maybe a discussion with Plympton Public Health to see how we can protect ourselves before we do anything. And when I find out, I'll report back to council.
Right on.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Yes.
One more. Okay, thank you. This is, there's currently a water main break occurring on the Law's main line in Blue Point, and I believe there's also a leak occurring somewhere else, possibly down by I don't know what that subdivision's called. Which has been going on for quite a while. So I just have a few questions in regards to Law's water main breaks within a community. Like who monitors the leaks? Who monitors the safety of tap water within the affected water main break? How often are they monitored while awaiting repairs? Who gets notified of these breaks? How do these breaks affect fire services if they're needing hydrants for emergencies? Who's responsible for the repairs for the surrounding infrastructure? While the leaks are awaiting repairs, so the damage to the infrastructure. Does the town, are they involved in the timeline of when these repairs will happen? And to what extent is the town's involvement when it involves the water main break?
Silva?
Yes, through your worship, I didn't write down every one of those questions, but I'll do my best. Yeah, so both of those, we're aware of a leak at Harris Point Drive and another one at Lambton Lane. Those are both leaks that are on the Law's system. Those systems are always under positive pressure, so the risk of contamination is virtually zero. We do regular bacteriological sampling throughout the town on a monthly basis. In terms of timelines, I was told that it's not necessarily a routine fix. So there's going to be some shutdowns that have to occur, and it's with the way that water main works on Lakeshore, it means some significant disruptions to the community. So there is some time that we need to take to fully prepare for those. I'm hearing early June is kind of the date, so that will be communicated to the residents when we have a firm timeline. We discuss these things with Laws back and forth all the time, so there's open communication always. And if there's any other questions, I'm sorry.
So I guess while the water line break is occurring, because it seems like there's quite a long timeline between this significant leaks and the repairs. Who's monitoring to make sure the leak isn't getting worse or things like that?
So through your worship, Laws is monitoring as well as our Jacob staff are monitoring as well, and they're in constant communication. This is a high pressure, large diameter water main, and it's done by specialty contractors. So I would imagine that's part of the issue why it can't happen. It's not an emergency yet, so they're not gonna start digging tomorrow. So we have some time to kind of plan what the ramifications are.
Deputy? Anything? Councilor Van Claveren?
Nothing for me, sir.
Councilor Willett?
No, sir.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll go to item 13.1. Council, I have a motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councilor Van Claveren, that council move into an in-camera meeting. Council pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001, as amended for the following reasons. Item A, solicitor client privilege, section 239, bracket 2, bracket F. Advice subject to solicitor client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. All those in favor? Carried. For those that are joining with us virtually, thank you for your time and for being with us this evening. We're now going in camera. On our return, we'll close off and be finished for the evening. So thank you again for joining with us.